Area. This is where everything that comes in here, drivers, etc., everything that we receive before we even start working on it goes through a QC system here. We have the Clipple. You could look at that, the Clipple QC system. It's a very sophisticated kind of a system that allows us to test drivers, test electronics, and final products. It has the ability to actually measure the noise level of the room and deduct it from the actual measurement of the speakers that we're doing. So maybe you've seen that, how in a QC setup, typically speakers are being pushed to some sort of a closet or like a small anechoic chamber, so you can kind of reduce the room from the equation. We don't need to do it here because the Clipple does it automatically. So Dave, perhaps you can demonstrate what a finished M6 QC setup will be like.
Yeah, just you were just saying, we have a primary microphone here measuring the speaker, but also the secondary microphone here in the ceiling, canceling out that extra room noise. So what the Clipple allows us to do is very specifically set a set of tolerances for any driver or any complete speaker that we're putting on it based on a few reference units. So we know that whatever driver is going into a speaker or whatever speaker is going out the door is measuring within this very tight set of tolerances. Where others might have to deal with less consistent drivers and get into things of tweeter and driver matching, we know that everything that goes out the door is going to be just like the others. And so here, once we've established these references, really we just get to press one button and we'll run a series of sweeps and we'll get a clear pass or fail on between about 10 and 15 different parameters based on whether it's an individual driver or a complete speaker. And so there we see we're at 100% on everything from frequency response, polarity, three versions of harmonic distortion, rub and buzz, impedance, all within our very.
Interesting. So every speaker goes through this process?
Every complete speaker, but also every individual driver before it ever hits the assembly floor also goes through the same process.
And I will say something right now, because if you know, I am known to throw some interesting facts out there, okay? That's not something that I can say about other speaker brands. I have had brands that drivers show up and they don't work, okay? So to hear him say this is something that I hope a lot of other speaker manufacturers are doing. I don't want to go out there and call out anybody, but I have received speakers where drivers were blown, were gone, not even blown, not working, and heard of some brands sending replacement drivers that also did not work. They will go nameless. This is the type of stuff that people want to see. This is why I'm bringing you this level of information, this type of content, so you understand that when you're buying something of this caliber, you're spending your money in electronics that are going through rigorous testing and not just BS, and they're not telling you all this crap of what they're doing, and none of this is happening at the factory. So thank you for definitely showing me that, David. I never knew that this is happening, and this is for every speaker essentially.
Every speaker and
So,
every individual.
so not because you see the M6 here, don't assume that it's only the M6 because it's 172, whatever it is right now. Don't assume that it's only the M6. It's every Magico speaker that is currently in production that goes through this rigorous testing before it gets packed up and shipped to you guys.
All the way from the tweeter that goes into any A-series speaker will be here individually tested in its own enclosure before it even hits the assembly floor to be installed.
All these enclosures, as you can see here, are designed to actually run tests of individual driver. So every driver we get, we set it up like that and we test it. We're talking about thousands of drivers that are being tested here on a regular basis. Every single driver.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Wow. That's all. Wow.
Yep. Yep.
So once this driver's tested, is it deemed as it's good to go? It can be.
It's good to go in production. Then it has to survive production and still operate as intended
it should
in the final product.
That's good. Okay. That's I never knew this is. I honestly, that's how ignorant I am when it comes to this. Okay, I thought they just order drivers or buy drivers like everybody else does, and the assumption is that whoever's selling them to you is testing them before they get shipped out, and they get slapped on the speaker itself and shipped to you guys. So look at that.
No, we don't do that, and that's again. And we'll talk about it some more to clarify some things about our service.
No, absolutely, we will.
We put so much time, effort, and care, and money into making sure that everything that we do is at 110%.
Oh, that's
not 100,
110%. Yeah, it's incredible the the level of attention that goes into this process.
Now, having said all that and having seen all that, things happen.
Yeah, of course
they do. The stuff that can happen in shipping is beyond imagine. I mean, the stuff we see is just unbelievable. Speakers will be dropped, and because the way we build speakers, you might open up the enclosure and everything looks fine, but inside everything would be broken. I mean, stuff like this has happened. If you drop a speaker from 10 foot down, with a forklift, when you kind of just drop it and not slow down before the end, it might look like it's in good shape, but it's really not. So stuff like this happen, not a lot, but it does. But
and there's no amount of packaging that can.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, believe me, we tried everything. But when you drop 700 pounds from 10 foot down,
heavy speakers.
But when a speaker leaves the factory, it's in perfect working order. There is just no two-way about it.
Nice.
And we keep all the information about that intact. I mean, we have a file on every single speaker. So we can always go back and look to see if something left unchecked. Ready for me. Ready for me. Ready for me. Ready for me. We have five CNC machines here.
5.
This is where we build a lot of the parts. This is the back of an M2. Andy,
yes.
You want to explain what this is?
Okay, so.
Hey Andy, how are you?
How's it going? So basically, I got one right there, we start off with our blank piece, and we stick it into the machine, and when we're done with our first operation, it comes out looking like this. And then after that, we take this fancy little fixture, stick it on top, then we run our second op, and we're left with the back plate.
So the whole process, how long does it take to machine a part like this?
This specific job, this operation is about 30 minutes. To run this, it's maybe about an hour, hour and a half. So all the 3D stuff it does, the inside 3D countersink, all that stuff, it takes some time, but...
And then taking it out, putting it back. So would you say this is like a 2-3 hour work for each part?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 3 hours.
3 hours.
The back of an M2, one M2.
3 hours.
Yeah.
For the front plate, it'll probably be about maybe 4.
4?
Probably about an hour for op 1, because there's a lot of stuff we got to hog out and cut out.
And these are our smallest products.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
Do this on an M6 or an M9. How long does the M9 take?
Oh, the M9, it takes more than a shift.
Wow.
Over one shift to do one M9.
One part.
Well, the M9
One part.
bottom plate, the front bottom plate, will take a full shift.
Wow.
Same with the M6 front plate, it's about a full shift.
Wow.
So there's just so much to take out.
Wow.
Once we start getting into the M series and introduce purge all over the speaker and all this compound curvature, well, a lot of these aluminum parts we're having to do up to 80-85% material removal. So from your solid 500-pound block of aluminum, about 80% plus is ending up as aluminum chips over these dumpsters here that we fill up about every 4 or 5 days. So minus a few chips that we'll take out on the bottom of our shoes, all this will get melted down, and we're about as close to a zero waste shop as you can get.
So this gets melted down, you said? All of this? Wow. All the aluminum, all the shavings, everything, guys. Unbelievable. I don't think that I have ever seen this on any video, online at least anyway, so it's incredible. It's amazing to see this. So this is what's happening here in this machine.
It's another machine just like that. What are we doing here, Andy?
Right now we're making a fixture.
Oh, you can actually see that, yeah.
Yeah, so we're making a fixture. I can pause it real quick.
Look at that.
So we have so this is going to be a fixture so we can cut some angle holes.
Okay.
So normally, something like this might take like a 4th or 5th axis machine, but we're doing we're doing what we can with what we got.
Okay.
So right now, this fixture is going to mimic. It would be like us putting a flat part down on the table, and then angling it this way, and then angling it this way to get the hole to go straight down.
Got it.
So that when the rods go in, they're going to go in at the right angle when we pull everything together when we're building it. So it's a fixture for the basically a fixture for a fixture that we got to run for something new we're coming out with.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a trip.
I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's the first time me seeing something like this.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Just incredible what goes behind the scenes. I'm just shocked to know that all this goes into all your loudspeakers. Yep. I don't think most people realize the level of work that this takes. Right. And so I think seeing this also builds a lot of appreciation for the speaker, for the line, and obviously for the work that you guys are doing here. This goes oftentimes, unfortunately, unnoticed. But now that you highlight it and we can see it, we have an idea, because I'm sure that this is not the whole story, but we have a small idea of what it takes to build loudspeakers like this.
All right.
Incredible. Yeah, it is. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Andy.
My recent point about material removal. This is the M6 faceplate, which I am actually able to hold here by myself with a little bit of difficulty. But this starts out as 3.5 inches thick.
Holy crap, man!
About a 450 pounds block of aluminum that we need a crane to load into the machine.
In fact, you can see them here on the bottom. This is where it starts like.
Right. Wow. Oh, this is the aluminum piece.
Yep.
Right here.
Yep.
Wow.
So it starts with this. This is about 450, you said? Yep. And end up with
this.
Which is how much?
50, more or less.
How long does it take?
450 to 50.
So how long does it take to go from here to
That's
here?
a whole shift. That's about 8 hours.
It's about
8 hours to go from this block to this aluminum to this.
We've removed about 80% of the material between the first site operation, hogging out all the holes for the drivers, a pocket in here for our constrained layer damping material, and then flipping over and doing the even slower side to get that curved finish on the exterior.
Let me ask you something. This is actually a question that I, before I forget. Now with all the problems, COVID and the, all the resources and the aluminum and everything went up in price, right? What challenges do you typically are you seeing right now acquiring aluminum quality parts, especially
across the entire spectrum? I mean, there are problems getting material, especially copper, titanium are difficult to actually get. Never mind the cost, which went up through the pandemic, was skyrocketing. Now it's kind of coming back down a bit. Logistic, I mean, even when you get the parts, getting them in is a big problem as well. So there are issues across the board. It's very hard time for manufacturing now.
Very hard time, man.
Definitely. I mean, we're hoping it's getting better. It looked like it was getting better, and then the war in Russia started. That kind of. So there's always something, but it's definitely very challenging.
And what I've heard from another manufacturer was the fact that when they buy parts and they come in, they're not even close to what they used to be. So they have to oftentimes send them back and say, this is not at the level of what we were ordering. So now you have all those problems too, and hurdles and things of that nature.
That happens as well. I mean, we are less exposed to that because we do a lot of the work ourselves.
Right.
So we know what aluminum we need, and we know when it comes in what it is. So we don't get bogged down on those arenas, but it's getting the stuff in. It's
getting it hard.
It's getting the titanium, and that's challenging. Yeah.
If someone, let's say, was to order an M9, right, and the order comes in, do you have everything in here to build an M9 right away, or do you have to start beginning to order all these parts?
No, we typically build in batches. So we don't do one-off.
Okay.
So if we do M9, let's say we build 10 pairs, a batch of 10 pairs. It depends when the order comes in. If it comes in and we still have 2 pairs that were not sold from those 10, then it's no problem.
It's no problem.
It's coming up. It takes about 8 weeks just to put the thing together. I mean, we have all the parts. It's just actual building an M9 is a 2 months ordeal.
Wow.
But if we are starting a new batch, then yes, you can wait a year to get an M9.
Yeah, I figured that.
So it depends where you fall in the cycle.
The next production
of
cycle.
Of course, on more kind of a mundane products like the A series, etc. We build big batches, but it's also these days getting an A series takes time. We sold a lot of those, and there's only so many hours in the day to actually put them together.
Sure.
So that takes time as well.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So this is a warehouse. You can just see parts here that are being stored. All sorts of products. Here's some S7 plates.
S1 tops, whereas the A series is all black anodized and the M series is all black and carbon fiber. The S series, we do offer 12 different finishes. We have our high gloss M2 orange. So with our S series, we do stock bare aluminum parts out here, waiting for your choice of color to come in, so we can send it out to our finishing vendor.
Now the painting is not. If someone wants like my orange S7, that's not done here.
That's not done here.
No.
You guys outsource that and get.
Yes, we have a very high-end automotive guy that does our.
Oh, and let me just say this: when he says that, I am here to tell you, it's absolutely astonishing. The colors of the speaker, the Magico speakers. I can probably grab this here and bang it against my speaker. I mean, you know what I'm saying, and the paint is fine.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. But the paint is fine. Like I have seen it where if I'm lifting something, my belt buckle rubs up against paint. Now there's paint missing. I've seen it before with some brands. That is not the case with Magico. I have seen it firsthand. I made a comment to you as well. So whoever's doing the painting, man, they're doing an exceptional job.
It's not just the durability, but it's also the quality. I mean, just
yeah, absolutely.
Orange peel,
it's beautiful.
Yes,
you can tell.
It's really high end.
Absolutely, 1000%.
Yeah.
Can't really deny that.
Yeah, and this is another interesting part. This is all one extruded piece.
Okay.
So imagine what it takes to do that. I mean, the way these things are done, again, you take a billet of aluminum, you heat it up, and you push it against a die, which basically think about cookie cutter.
Okay.
But think about this. The entire center actually is hauled off. So how do you do that? You have to have a center that is being held by these lines in the cookie cutter, in the die, and you push the aluminum through that. And it comes on the other end. It still has these lines, but it has to kind of heal and come together. So at the end, you get a product with no center. It's just a mind-boggling process to see that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
incredible.
That's an S1, and actually the S3, which I don't see here, is even bigger.
A bigger one.
Yeah. All right, so let's go and look at it. All these little things, everything here has been machined here. I mean, all these rods, all these.
This is what goes inside the speakers, right? The bracing?
Yes, this is all bracing.
Bracing,
Every
right?
single one of these things have to be machined.
Wow.
Which is like you saw there, it's putting it up, putting it down, taking it off, and so on and so forth. This is another interesting parts that people don't see. This what damps the speakers, these layers of EAR material. They're designed especially for us. When we actually build the speakers, we can measure the vibration on the panels, and we can see which frequencies needs to be addressed. And based on that, we build, we don't build them, they're built for us. These elastic materials that are being pressed between the plates and create constrained layer damping. So for anyone who thinks that aluminum is not a good material for loudspeakers, think again. Because it's extremely stiff and light for its stiffness, it doesn't store energy. It's extremely easy to dissipate the energy from it. And we do it through those apparatus of constrained layer damping. So you end up with a very well damped structure, yet extremely stiff, which is the perfect platform for loudspeaker enclosure.
Got it. Lots of different parts.
All of our models, our mid-range volumes are isolated from the base volumes. So most of our models, our mid-range enclosures are made from a proprietary polymer. It's a much more damped material that's more ideal for mid-range frequencies. But when you step up to an M or an M6 or an M9, you then move into a full carbon fiber mid-range enclosure.
Look at this, guys. Wow. This is the enclosure of the mid-range driver. Carbon fiber.
Yeah, that's solid carbon.
Wow. And this obviously is going to just really take the performance of that mid-range driver to a whole new level by being
it's
completely.
The shape. It's an inverse horn, so you don't have standing waves, and the pressure kind of gets dissipated as it goes into the back.
Got it.
And also the material. It's extremely damped.
Yeah.
And
that's
what a mid-range enclosure needs to be.
Oh, M6 and M9 right now.
M6 and M9, yes.
Got it. M2 did not get this treatment.
M2 has the polymer, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It's almost as good.
Got it. Okay. Let me see where I put this here. Interesting.
Put it here for now. Copper gasket. Look at
yeah, the copper gaskets that you were showing us.
Yeah, that's for a mid-range. That's an M9 and M6 mid-range.
M9 and M6, copper gaskets. Incredible. I never heard of this. I thought they were all rubber, and that's what everyone had to use. But
nope.
That is.
But
this is
yeah.
This is next level.
So more More parts here. Of course, more parts
More
here.
parts, yeah.
Our inventory controller will kit up either 1 or 2 pairs of parts for a given speaker build onto one of these rolling racks. So that
Excuse
when
me?
our assembly tech is,
Excuse me, hello, excuse me.
is done with their current build, they're able to come out here, grab a rack, and ideally should have everything they need to complete their next build without leaving their station.
Wow.
Just another example of just talking about the high gloss paint.
Beautiful,
This
wow.
is our candy red.
Man, I love this color.
Side panels of an S5.
Probably turn the flashlight on the camera. It's there. Do you know how to do it? Okay, so, yeah, there you go. That's beautiful. This is beautiful. First time I see this color, and I love it.
Yeah, it's
beautiful,
very nice.
man. Huh?
Your favorite.
That is beautiful. That is a beautiful color. Wow.
And just look at the quality.
No, the quality. This is what I was saying, guys. The quality of the paint.
No orange
It's
peel,
nothing. There's no bubbles. There's no nothing. Like, it's just, look at this. I mean, this is perfect. This is top notch.
And slightly more understated, but also beautiful, our titanium gray.
Now the black gloss color or the what do you call the MCast? That is done here or still
No, we
outside?
don't do any of the finishing.
Okay, got it. Oh, any of the finishes, got it. That's okay.
We let the pro do
The pros.
theirs.
No, and it makes sense. Let me tell you, that makes a ton of sense to me. A ton of sense to me.
You have to choose your battle. And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
battle
Yeah,
we
listen,
chose not
can't
to
be
do.
the master of all trades, like impossible.
So this is another basically QC area. This is where we do all the physical enclosure
Okay.
QC. So typically when we bring in a batch of A5 or A3s, this is a C of speakers, and we go through every single one of them meticulously. These guys with magnifying glasses on every being checked. These are M9 carbon enclosure being checked.
Wow.
A lot of things to go through and look to make sure everything is up to par.
I'm assuming these are already like orders being.
Yes,
They're-
these
they're
are all
orders ready to go.
built, yeah.
Wow, that I mean, seeing this for the first time, and is this the actual height of the whole speaker, or is this
It's actually higher, but you'll see
height?
it soon.
Wow, it's just.
But yeah, I mean, this is without the aluminum.
So now here's a perfect example of something, right? This is failed cabinet.
Yeah,
So I'm
this is failed
assuming
cabinet.
this is what he was talking about, right? As far as you look at it and either passes or doesn't pass,
Yeah.
and then what's the process once you found a defect? What happens next?
It depends what the fail is, but a lot of these get scratched. I mean, it's a very expensive proposition.
Yeah.
Because not some of them, if it's just a polished thing, then it can be polished. If it's a structural thing, then there's not much you can do. And a lot of things can go wrong, especially with the carbon, because it's really they lay it by hand, so it's a very it's just an art as a science.
Right.
So yeah, quite a few cabinets just don't make the cut.
Don't make the
and
cut.
we insist on clear carbon fiber, so it's 100% clear, so you could see the entire weave under the clear coat. It's typically even in cars when you see like a carbon roof, etc. It has some sort of a tint to it, so you don't see the minute defect. I insisted of not having that. So the smallest thing that can go wrong with the weave will show, and that's a scrap. So it's challenging.
It's challenging, yeah. I can see that. I mean, there's so much that goes into
But when
this.
you get it, when it's perfect, It's like you had the M6.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's no flaws in
There
it.
is a reason you felt what you felt to the speaker. It's not just the shape, which is what you gravitated towards.
Sure.
It's really the way. It's in the detail. You know, it's those little things that all kind of come together, and when it all just works, your mind is like, yeah, I like that.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. I've been saying the sheer feeling of the engineering and the attention to detail.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know,
it's
it
all
shows.
these little things.
It shows.
That's why I insist on making our life more difficult. But at the end, for the customer experience, I think it's worth it.
No, it definitely is. Absolutely is. Yeah, this is incredible. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let me show you a couple of other spots, interesting spots here. So this is where we build the A series.
This is the A series.
Yeah, but we can come here when the guys are. Oh, they're here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the A Master.
Hello, A Master. How are you?
I'm good.
How's it go? You live with the A series, huh? You are the go-to person. We're looking at the crossover here.
Yeah.
Cross.
This is the A5 crossover.
Look at that. Wow. So you are the one who assembles all of this, or?
This comes from Mundorf. Yeah.
Oh, got it. So then,
Germany. Assembled.
all assembled, and then you are the one who basically puts it all together, and then this goes to the testing phase, of course, that we saw.
Before and then after. Each crossover is being tested as well.
Yeah, I'm testing crossover right now.
Look at this here. It's crossover testing.
So we do a lot of tests on a lot of speakers. Before they even go in the speaker, we test everything. Even the drivers gets tested before they go into there. And yeah.
It's incredible, man. You live in this room, in this space with all the A5s. So does each room have a specific designation as far as which speaker is being worked on, or this just happens to be the A5?
No, that's the A series. We
the A
build
series, right.
here,
Does
yeah.
the S have another room like this, or
We
is
build the S and the M in the same place.
Got
You
it.
see
Got it. So these are ready, I'm assuming?
These are finished. Are they finished?
Yes.
Yeah, these are
So
finished.
ready to go, and this is incredible, man. It's just to see everything. This is what I'm trying to figure out is this, which is,
That's the center channel. That's the
see, this
A
is,
center.
yeah, the A series center channel.
yeah.
First time I see it.
You can have a full home theater A series setup.
Now you can't. Okay, so what do you do for rears? What would you use for rear speakers?
You can use either the A3s or the A1s
Yeah,
or
that's
the
right.
A5. I mean,
That's
you know.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I wow. I never even. First time I actually see it in person.
Yeah.
So this is great. Great to see. Yeah, a lot of center channels. Yeah, incredible, man. Well, okay.
All right.
Appreciate showing me. A5 Master. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. All righty.
This is almost the last station. This is where we actually do assembly for S.
Oh my God.
M.
Hold up. Before we start.
Yeah, that's a Q7. Yeah.
Is this my next speaker here? Is this what I need to bring into the room? Should I replace my S7 with this? So, you know, I almost did, right? I almost did, but 750 pounds each.
Yeah, but they come on wheels.
They come on wheels. I got a room that you need to, it's about a 3-inch lift.
You do a ramp.
Yes,
You do a
but
ramp.
wow, this is serious, man. Now
And now you have the amplification for this.
I have a question for you. Why are the binding posts on the Q7s in the middle of the speaker as opposed to the normal place?
Because the crossover is actually housed in encapsulated part. It's not part of the speakers, and this
Okay.
is the place where it sits. It sits behind the mid bass, so it's isolated from the actual space where the drivers are. It's very good for the sound, but yes, it's a bit more of a pain because the binding posts are.
Same tweeter as the S7 or a different tweeter?
No, that's a different tweeter.
Different tweeter. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, it just looks.
Yeah. And that's a four-way speaker, so this would give you a level of transparency that you have not heard yet.
Should we put this in the room? What do you think? It's too much. Wow. Look at the binding post here, the connectors with the speakers. Even the connectors are different than the other Magico speakers that I've seen. They're in the middle of the, right there, really high up. So this is how deep it is. This is just insane, but it's, wow. Is it still in production?
No.
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 This one is just back for service.
That one? Okay.
By the way, you could see here, remember how I talked
Oh,
about
perfect
the,
shot. How you doing? Let me just.
How we talked about the
Wow, that's a perfect, beautiful shot.
the damping layer that is between the faceplate and the inner faceplate. There's actually two faceplates.
I see. I see the blue damping.
One the drivers are attached to, and one which is the facade, which is actually pressing this. And you see how it is extended beyond the border of the piece. So it actually creates a sandwich, a constrained layer damping that helps to completely isolate and dissipate any vibration that the panel
blue
creates.
Yeah. Okay.
See the,
From here, yeah.
the blue you could see. The M2. Wow, you can see it and understand it. Uh-oh, what room is this?
Photography studio. This is where I shoot all our products.
And we will talk about your hobbies because as part of the interview, I want to talk about those hobbies, by the way, guys. So don't miss the interview with him, okay? We're going to have a one-on-one and talk about a lot of things, but this is where he does his photography. I do know that you have a passion for photography. A lot of the all the pictures, as a matter of fact, on your site are taken by you. Yes. So you're extremely attention-oriented when it comes to that, and this is incredible to know that you are.
This is where a lot of it happened.
Wow, that's great. All the pictures are taken here, and then you do all of it. You do the editing, you do everything.
I do everything, yeah. And I also do the videos. So
how do you have time to do this? I mean,
I don't sleep much.
It's incredible because you have to be everywhere. You have to be thinking about. You have to be
4 hours a night. That's all I need.
You have to be thinking about the next speaker that's coming out. Where can you make improvements?
Yes.
And then now you have this passion, this hobby, which I'm sure it also advances.
Yes.
So you have to keep up with whatever else is new.
Yes.
Man, that's dedication.
Days are full.
No, I do not hesitate. I do not doubt you by any stretch of the imagination.
But I would say, though, I mean, a lot of what you see here happens with the help of a lot of people.
Yeah, no, of course, you can't do this by yourself. Impossible.
As you know,
it's a team.
Yeah, it is a team. The company name is not Wolf Audio. I mean, it's.
You will see, guys. Why it's funny he said that because one of the questions is exactly about what he said. So I don't know how he got that, but that's one question that I have for him about the name of the company. So
yeah, we can. That's also a cool story.
Yeah.
But we can talk about.
Yes.
That. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of different discipline to build the perfect loudspeakers. It's math, it's physics, it's electrical engineering, it's mechanical engineering, it's product design. There's materials. I mean, endless layers of complexity and different discipline. I don't believe one person can be in charge of. I mean, it can be in charge, but it cannot really be on top of every single element, top of the game. So. This is something I recognized quite early, and luckily I have I know smart people, and some of them are working for this company. Our CTO Yair, which I think you'll meet him through when we looked at the R&D area. We haven't seen that yet, so you can see some of the really cool stuff we do. So yeah, I mean it's not just all me. But. Still, there's a lot of work to do. So
no, it's a lot of work to do. It's a team effort, as you mentioned. Impossible for you to do it by yourself. Married, kids, you have those responsibilities as well. So you know how those go, and then have time to be here and be very OCD and passionate to build your next product. So it's just it's almost as if your mind has to be constantly thinking about what's next.
And it is.
Always,
It is, yes.
always. And where can I make improvements? Do we even have improvements that are worthy of us creating?
Absolutely.
You
There's
know,
a lot of things to consider all the time.
every day.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
This is a very sophisticated robot that does very unique type of measurement that gives us a very clear picture of the entire frequency response, something that would typically require anechoic chambers, a very big anechoic chamber. We can do it all in here at a much higher precision on much greater range of points in space, so we can get literally a 360 degree look of what the speaker is doing. And I'll show you, Yair, our CTO, can run it real quickly so you guys can see that. You might want to take a picture of Yair. Are you there?
No close.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so I have Jay and his wife here, and oops, watch that. Yeah, let's stand here, and just give a brief explanation of what's happening here.
Okay,
Oh, it's running. Okay.
mounting will show them a little bit and then I'll speak.
Okay.
So it adjusts for each point and takes a measurement.
Let me hear you here. Go ahead.
It adjusts for each point and takes a measurement.
And we typically do 2,000 to 3,000 points around.
Wow.
And it does that 360 degrees.
Wow, that's impressive.
So one of these measurements can take 12 to 16 hours.
12 to 16 hours they can take all these measurements? Wow. That is
Okay,
incredible.
here we can stop that.
And so we then do it on each individual driver, and then we'll do it on the complete speaker with the crossover. So you're looking at
About a week.
about a week
A week.
of full-time measurement
Yeah.
for one speaker.
Wow.
Great,
So,
anyway.
so every speaker
All
will
right,
go
so
through this
take a look at the screen
before
here.
it gets packed up. So, wow.
And the
Here, make it
R&D.
short. You don't need to go into
So,
too much
but
depth.
then what is the purpose of what you did over there inside? Is it the same with the
That's
MC?
that's strictly QC.
Okay.
For outdoor. This
This
is
is-
strictly R&D.
It's R&D. Got it. And the other one
This
was...
is how we designed the crossover, basically.
Oh.
And designed drivers. All right, you ready? Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Okay, so the idea behind the robot, behind the what is called the near field scanner, is to give the possibility to make measurements which was only be possible in an anechoic chamber inside a standard warehouse, factory, any room, basically. The room needs to be not very small, of course, but it needs to be, it can be any room. And the idea is to generate through calculation and very interesting method to create a frequency response that correlates only to the speaker and not taking into account the room. In order to do that, the robot is creating a pattern of a cylinder that moves and circulates around the speaker, and it does it in two radiuses. So it does two cylinders. And using very sophisticated calculation, it's able to correlate what's coming from the speaker and what's coming only from the room. And then what we are able to do is to get a frequency response. 1 second, let me show it to you clearly, like this one, which is going down to very low frequencies at a very high accuracy. And this is very hard to do without doing it in an anechoic chamber. This, on top, another thing is that it is able to collect multiple measurements of all the radiation, meaning all angles in the 3D space that the speaker is targeting to. This enables us to see all the behavior of the speaker, and enables us to create a much better understanding how the speaker will actually work in a room. And the issue about it, first of all, previously we had to do it in an anechoic chamber. The other thing is we had to do semi-manually all those points. And the equivalent of a measurement that's done in 12 hours using this robot is about at least 2 to 3 weeks of a very talented and trained person in an anechoic chamber, which means that actually to make a lot of those measurements in order to perfect the speakers would have taken months and months and months, and this is much reduced due to that effect. So we get a lot of precision, we get a lot of information, we get a lot of detailed information, and we can improve the speaker as much as we can.
Yeah, can you, by the way, this is just a bass driver, so
wow.
Can you show a full range measurement, please? This is A5 measurement, the whole thing.
Wow.
And this is like including the on-axis, the listening window, the reflections, the sound power, which means actually the whole sound radiated into the room, and things that calculated the relationships between the on-axis to the power, the on-axis to the early response, and we can get a calculated estimate of what the sound will be in a room.
Wow.
So you can see,
this is following our target.
Remember, we talked about how smooth things are on and off axis.
Yes.
They should cover each other.
Right.
So if you look at, let me move this. If you look at this, you see how the curves are following each other.
Yes. Magico R&D at work, folks, so you understand what they do here to test the speakers and obviously assess the frequency response in the room, and everything else that goes with this process.
Alon, I think that I can operate the animation and you can explain.
Okay.
So
this is ours.
So this is actually an A5, sample of an A5, and that's another speaker that is built from MDF. So you could see what happened to the panel when it's an FDF panel, and what happened when it's a properly built aluminum enclosure. You hear those things. This is basically allow us to see the frequency response of the enclosure. Anything that you see above 20 here is audible. All this area here, you actually hear it. It becomes part of your presentation. This is the coloration
of the cabinet
we keep talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. So you might like it on certain things, but it's there on everything.
Got it.
And this is the difference. Ignore the high frequencies. That's more noise than anything else. But anything below 1,000 or 2,000 is quite critical. And you could see the difference between a properly built aluminum enclosure, and this is a very well-known loudspeakers, almost as expensive as the A5, but not quite. It's the same cost as the A3. This is where the money goes.
Got
You
it.
could see why.
Essentially eliminating the cabinet as much as possible
Yes,
from
because it's
influencing.
part of your output.
Right.
And it's not supposed to be there. It's not
Right.
the recording.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So this machine here, essentially, you play a test
Yes.
tone, and this laser hits the cabinet, and
Yeah.
it sends back that information.
Right.
So
And,
that-
and we can see when we do R&D, we could see parts that needs to be addressed. So we could either damp it more, or we can put more bracing. Aluminum allows us to do that. With MDF, it doesn't matter how thick you're going to make it.
it's still going
It's
to be.
still going to move because it's not stiff enough.
Got it. Understood.
So, of course, it doesn't. This is violent. This just exaggerate the movement.
Right.
But you could see that this is the type of stuff that you end up hearing.
And once again, this is through every single speaker,
Every single
regardless of
speaker.
price.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them goes through this testing.
I mean, design-wise, once it's designed, you
Yeah.
need to do that. This is
Right.
not a QC part. This is a design part.
And you've been doing this since the beginning of time, or this is something that
No,
you?
this is something we. I mean, this is a serious investment here on our part. So
sold across.
we-
Yeah.
Yeah, this is we're just designing crossovers.
Okay.
But it's been 2 years since we
2 years.
acquired these tools. Yeah.